The story of George Washington, the founding father of the United States. George Washington, a name synonymous with leadership, honor, and the birth of a nation. Known as the father of his country, Washington's life is a compelling story of ambition, sacrifice, and unwavering commitment to the ideals of liberty. Born into colonial Virginia, he would grow to become not only a military hero, but the first president of the United States, laying the foundation for the republic that would shape the modern world. Early life, 1732 to 1748. George Washington was born on February 22, 1732, in Westmoreland County, Virginia, to Augustine and Mary Ball Washington. He was the eldest son of his father's second marriage and grew up on the family plantation along the Potomac River. Washington's early life was shaped by the values of hard work, discipline, and a deep connection to the land. His formal education was limited, ending around the age of 15, but he was a voracious learner. After his father's death in 1743, George helped support his family and pursue training in surveying, a profession that would take him deep into the American frontier. By 1749, at just 17, Washington had been appointed official surveyor of Culpeper County, gaining first-hand experience in the untamed wilderness of the colonies. Military career begins 1753 to 1758. Washington's path took a dramatic turn during the French and Indian War. In 1753, at the age of 21, he was appointed by Virginia's royal governor to deliver a warning to the French, who were encroaching on British-claimed land in the Ohio Valley. The next year, in 1754, he led a small force into the contested territory and engaged French troops at the Battle of Jumonville Glen, an event that ignited the wider conflict. Though he experienced both victory and defeat, including the surrender at Fort Necessity, Washington earned a reputation for courage under fire. His leadership during the disastrous Braddock Expedition in 1755, where he helped save the remnants of the British force, further bolstered his public image. By 1758, disillusioned with British military politics, Washington resigned his commission, but he had gained vital experience and a deep understanding of colonial and British military affairs, lessons that would prove invaluable in the years ahead. The Gentleman Farmer, 1759 to 1775. Following his military service, Washington returned to Mount Vernon, the plantation he inherited from his brother Lawrence. In 1759, he married Martha Custis, a wealthy widow, bringing not only love, but considerable social and financial standing. For the next 15 years, Washington lived the life of a Virginia planter, managing land, enslaved laborers, and attending to civic duties. He also became increasingly involved in colonial politics. He served in the Virginia House of Burgesses, where he began to voice concern over British policies like the Stamp Act and later the Townshend Acts. As Britain tightened its grip on the colonies, Washington emerged as a vocal critic of imperial overreach, supporting non-importation agreements and advocating for colonial rights. Though still loyal to the crown in these years, Washington, like many Americans, was being drawn toward revolution, the Revolutionary War. 1775 to 1783. Everything changed in 1775 with the outbreak of the American Revolutionary War. The Second Continental Congress unanimously selected George Washington as Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army. He accepted without pay, motivated by a deep sense of duty. Leading an ill-equipped, poorly trained, and often unpaid army, Washington's task was monumental. He faced early defeats in New York in 1776, but his daring surprise attack on Trenton, New Jersey, crossing the Delaware River on Christmas night, reignited the revolutionary cause. Over the next several years, Washington held the fragile army together through extreme adversity, including the harsh winter at Valley Forge. His leadership kept morale alive, even when supplies were scarce and Congress offered little support. Perhaps his greatest military achievement came not on the battlefield, but in his strategy of endurance. Washington understood that simply keeping the army intact and the cause alive was a path to victory. In 1781, with the aid of French forces, Washington decisively defeated the British at the Battle of Yorktown. This victory forced Britain to negotiate peace, and by 1783, the United States had won its independence. Return to civilian life, 1783 to 1787. After the war, Washington did something almost no one in power had ever done before. He voluntarily relinquished power. In December 1783, he resigned his military commission to Congress in Annapolis, Maryland. This act of humility shocked the world and solidified his reputation as a modern-day Cincinnatus, a leader who served his nation and returned to civilian life. Back at Mount Vernon, Washington hoped to retire for good, but the young nation soon faced new challenges. The Articles of Confederation proved too weak to govern effectively, and Washington was called once again to serve. The Constitutional Convention and the Presidency, 1787 to 1797. In 1787, Washington presided over the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia. Though he spoke little, his presence lent the convention legitimacy. The result was a stronger federal government under a new constitution. In 1789, George Washington was unanimously elected as the first president of the United States. He would serve two terms, from 1789 to 1797, setting countless precedents still followed today. As president, Washington worked to unite the nation. He established the cabinet, oversaw the creation of the Bill of Rights, and helped shape the office into a non-monarchical executive power. He appointed Alexander Hamilton as Treasury Secretary, establishing a national bank and stabilizing the economy. He also signed treaties to secure peace with Native American tribes and foreign powers. And he warned against political parties and foreign entanglements in his famous farewell address in 1796. Words that echoed through American history, final years, and legacy. 1797 to 1799. Washington retired in 1797, once again refusing power and returning to Mount Vernon. Just 2 years later, on December 14, 1799, he fell ill after riding in freezing weather. Despite the best efforts of doctors, including the harmful practice of bloodletting, Washington died at the age of 67. The nation mourned. Tributes poured in from every state and across the Atlantic. Napoleon ordered 10 days of mourning in France. Congress declared him first in war, first in peace, and first in the hearts of his countrymen. His enduring impact, George Washington left behind more than just a legacy. He left a blueprint. His commitment to Republican ideals, civilian control of the military, and peaceful transfers of power became cornerstones of American democracy. He refused titles of nobility. He walked away from power twice. And in doing so, he became not just the first American president, but a symbol of what the presidency and the nation could be. Closing more than 2 centuries after his death, George Washington remains one of the most revered figures in American history. His image graces the dollar bill and Mount Rushmore, but his true legacy lies in the values he embodied: courage, humility, and an unshakable commitment to freedom. The story of George Washington is not just the story of one man. It is the story of a nation born from revolution, tested by war, and guided by the steady hand of a leader who put country above self.